the singing is working, but for short people. No offense to short people. Unfortunately, in the spirit of writerly revision, I'm only reading 3 instead of 4. Anyway, my first poem is called Hu Tiao Xia. Don't worry if you can't pronounce it, that's why I'm doing it. This is Chinese for tiger leaping gorge. This is the deepest gorge in the world. It gets its name from a legend where a tiger escaped a pair of hunters by leaping across the gorge in a single bound. Hu Tiao Xia. When the tiger jumped, what was it thinking? As a bird flew overhead, the tiger danced across the sky. No man could ever cross this gorge. But what if he were a tiger? Safety's cries of a million don'ts exploded out in a single pounce. Fear travels faster than felines. Excited birds glided above the tiger, who treaded air, embracing skies. The birds don't fear. Can he be like them, finding the ecstasy of potential death? Held in suspended animation for long enough, a tiger is no different than a bird. Yet tigers too need to one day leave the nest, even if it is made of clouds. The world soon lunged into view, leaving the field of pale fluff as distant into specks. Green became trees, brown ground, and the Yangtze flowed white water white. And then the universe stopped and watched. Could tigers fly, or were they like pigs, solely for slaughter? As the tiger landed, the land shook, more out of shock than impact. No one thought it was a tiger, an elephant or a mountain, maybe, but a tiger? No. The hunters picked themselves up and saw something striped walking off in the distance. Was it their quarry? Whatever it was gone. For a shorter piece, I shall be now retelling and recounting what I dub a briefer history of time. A briefer history of time. A river flows and bends, turning in towards thickets and brush, slowly venturing past, with no hint of what it passed. The brook follows a newborn pond, before leaving the deer behind. And finally, to conclude, I would like to read this poem called Silence is Pyrite. Silence is Pyrite. 1. What are you doing sucking my boyfriend's cock? She says, as if she should be the one licking male genitalia. Half naked, I lie on the hardwood floor, gripping her white trousers. Bitch! He throws at her like an all-star pitcher hoping to beat someone. They scream profanities, expletives, and pejoratives for an hour. I sit in catatonic silence. The end of the night culminates with the 3 of us dropping me off. No one talks the entire drive. If I was man enough, I would speak, but I'm afraid of breathing the world I want to forget. 2. The following week, I received this text. Dude, she's definitely not my GF. We've only been dating for like a month. IDK why she's so mad. Maybe she's crazy. Lol. You should come over again. I deleted it. I received more. 3. Today, I changed my cell phone number. Today, I can no longer contact me. 4. I have a large lump in my throat. I feel like I'm choking. I would breathe, or I'm not afraid of speaking.
Okay. Our third presenter, Meredith Brown, is a senior majoring in creative writing. She is also the executive print copy editor for the Guilfordian. The piece she'll read is called Shell Girl.
I took off my shoes and now I'm shorter. I can't read with my shoes on. Shell Girl. Everything is connected. Our hearts and minds seem to pulse to the same rhythms. Our sinews and skins press to each other. Our veins and arteries all tangled up together in one big bloody knot. think I love you. I know I love you. I swear I'm not in fucking love with you. I think my favorite part of you is the tiny cinnamon freckles on your otherwise milky pale shoulders. I named them once, formed them into little constellations to rival the brightest and most beautiful of stars. Scapula minora, trapezius rex, clavicle bellis. I think my least favorite part of you is the way your back looks when you walk away from me, leaving again, like you always do. I love the way your skin feels against mine, silk and rough all at once, your heart warming me from my never-ending cold. Your sweat mingled with mine makes the most delicious scent, like wildflowers and fresh-cut grass and musk and roses and you. I think I could sink into you all day if you'd let me. Sometimes I wonder if it's possible for me to live without you. I can feel you sometimes, dripping from my pores, and it's like you're all around me, and I can't even breathe without smelling you in my hair. You look like I imagine sunlight must taste like. You seem to encourage the most synesthetic descriptions from me. You are sunlight and whiskey burn and dizzy stars and everything that is both good and yet also wrong in the world. I remember the time I climbed in through your window, drenched in southern comfort and pretending I was a fairy. I remember touching your face, my accent thick on my tongue, and how your lips tasted like oranges and mint, and how your eyes looked so very sad and yet so very in love. I think I love you. I know I love you. I swear I'm not in fucking love with you. I don't know how we'll end. If we'll explode in a car crash in each other's arms, if we'll slowly burn out and die like a match in a hurricane, if we'll last forever and never have to worry about things, like what our last words to each other will be or whether we'll end in anger or pain or sorrow. So, in order to keep you longer, I strive for perfection. I hide my scars and put makeup over my freckles and pimples, and try to make myself poreless, creaseless, spotless. I put on lipstick and blush to make myself look more alive, mascara and eyeshadow to make myself look more alert, powder and glitter to make myself look like a fucking painting of a girl instead of the real thing. Once you said to me, "You're not a fucking porcelain doll. You know that, right?" I responded, "You sure? Then why do I have the cracks to prove it?" You had no way of responding without sounding trite. I remember the first time you told me you loved me. You were drunk, smoking your last Camel and staring at the stars. You told me I was more beautiful than the mountains and trees and moon, that I blinded you. I laughed and told you to sober up and then profess your undying affection to me. I remember the second time you told me you loved me, we were fucking, making love. And you whispered it soft and gentle into the shell of my ear, so soft and breathless that I almost couldn't quite understand you. I laughed and told you to come back to me when you weren't inside me, wrapped up in the haze of sweat and good sex. Yesterday you told me again that you loved me. Couldn't laugh. Couldn't cry. I didn't quite know what to do. I think I love you. I know I love you. I swear I'm not in fucking love with you. Sometimes when the moon is full and my eyes refuse to dim, I find myself contemplating you. How much is real? How much is pretend, like the night I was a drunk fairy writhing in your bed to the rhythm of the blood pounding in my ears? You know, it sounded like the ocean. I grew up on the ocean. I feel it singing in my veins, the pull of the tides, and the rolling of the waves crash in my head when I'm around you. I think the ocean approves. I wonder what it would be like to be you, to be able to hold 1,000 hearts in the palm of my hand and never have to say I'm sorry when one breaks. I wonder what you'd say to me if I told you any of this. I think you'd probably just laugh at me and tell me to come back when I wasn't so crazy and knew exactly what I wanted. But what I want is you. I think I love you. I know I love you. I swear I'm in fucking love with you.
Our last presenter, Andrew Glass, is a junior double majoring in biology and English. He will be reading today from his unpublished piece,
just going to read an excerpt because it's pretty long and I don't want to bore you guys. I am not a racist. I tell myself this every time I think there's something wrong with this country. When I first arrived, the land smelled like it was burning. I don't smell it anymore because I've gotten used to it. I came for a policy internship, planning to help bring water to these arid areas. I've since learned that it is simply leaching the lifeblood of the earth so that the people can grow a few tomatoes. I arrived and everything was new, but it was dark, and so I could not see what it was that was new, except a white woman with a black driver. The woman introduced herself as my boss, and the driver introduced himself as John. I did not at first believe him, for my brother's name is John. They drove me to camp, which contains a few cinder block buildings protected by a chain link fence. Protection against wildlife, my boss says, but there were holes near the bottom. I got malaria in that first week, which was supposed to be when I would receive my training. She did stay with me in the hospital, which I do not remember too well, because I think I was hallucinating. What made me figure it was a hallucination was when my boss kissed me, immediately with tongue, while the doctor was out. When I was taking antibiotics and back at camp, she started training me, though I was still weak and don't remember it well. She told me the names of the local water management officers, all Johns with last names I don't remember, and how to speak to them. Taught me greetings, which are still the only words I know of Swahili. It's only the next day, and John tells me my boss is gone, left for America. My first thought is, she was raped, and John did it. But then I realize how unfounded and prejudiced that is. My next thought is, she might have a daughter back in the States who got raped, and she has to go back and take care of her. My third thought is, the drugs are taking over my mind. I make peace in myself that my internship will mean nothing, and the weeks pass amicably. I realize that it is just going to be one neat bullet point on my resume that I can embellish. Learn to communicate across cultural barriers. I'll lie, and my employers will believe me. Discussed important water management procedures and legislation with high-ranking government officers. Of course, I saw a leopard. Everyone sees at least one there. They're hard to spot, I'll say. If you look long enough, there they are. Painted right on the side of the secondary school by an international youth organization. I tag along with John as he talks to the water management officials. I think he's not getting any work done because there's a lot of laughing and smiles between them. Whenever they say something and look at me, I'll smile, and John will say something that contains one of these words. Americani, American. Mwanafunzi, student, or the worst one, Mzungu, white person. The official will look sternly as he nods, looking very much like an important officer of the government, until John says something else and they start laughing again. Occasionally they'll ask me to give them something. What do they want? I asked John the first time it happened. You know, food, cameras, things, John says. They think because you are white and American, you have many things. That's when I stopped believing I could do anything.